Even though they're trying to arrest Donald Trump, Mike Tyson is taking pictures with him ringside. Right? So it and China would never let that happen ever. They wouldn't even think about that. You know what I'm saying? So like America is seen weak right now on the global stage. And then when you talk about TikTok and social media, America is the most self-degrading society when it comes to the way that we present ourselves. Shout out to Black China, and I feel like there's going to be a great natural movement that comes about because you know cycles and trends run out, right? Where there was the whole let me get a body for a bag, right? And some people start looking like body bags, and now, right, they want to bring life back to themselves. And so she got rid of the injection, got rid of the lips, got rid of the breast, got rid of the glutes. You feel me? And now she's going back to herself. And I think that that's going to be a movement when people are saying, I want to be natural in a world that's more artificial, right? And we're going, it's a fight and a war between what's natural and artificial. And people are rewriting what's natural and what's artificial today. This is the most shameless generation of any time on the history of the planet. The moment you try to hold somebody accountable to a standard, they say, don't shame. Yeah. So the ideas of freedom and liberation have been turned consequently to these new agendas and ideas that people push to say that no, you can do whatever you want to do, as if it has no consequence. And that's not good for a country because a country needs to be strengthened by its citizens. Those citizens need to be intellectual to join the fight that's going on, right? But when you got a dumbed down society, right, not only are they easier to control for you, but it's harder for you to win a war against a society that's smarter than yours.
Tyson looking crazy out there.
China, Trump, Biden.
Shout out to Mike Tyson.
American history all over.
That was an interesting lineup. That was an interesting lineup.
Yes.
They had OBJ. He was in the second round.
He wasn't with them. We can't put him with them. He was there.
He was there.
He did right there.
Yeah, how could you not put him?
No.
How could you not?
He was
shout out to him.
At the fight, he wasn't sitting ringside. I didn't see any pictures of OBJ. Justin Jefferson was there. He was from the
They had a lot of people there.
a lot of people.
Shout out to Israel. What's his last name? What's his last name?
Israel Adesanya. Oh, yeah.
Amazing. That was a crazy trip. Okay. Let's talk about currencies. Well, before we talk about currencies, let's bring it back to practical uses. What's 3 ways you're using AI to be more efficient in business and life?
Number one, I've been training all of my employees to learn how to become great prompt managers of AI, right? Yeah. Because I don't want to rely on their intelligence at all, right? So if I say, hey, I want a set of emails that's going to be sent out for the high level tour, and I need them to be intellectual and make people question reality, right? Then I need you to be able to go into ChatGPT and create a prompt that's going to get you the right set of replies so that you can then make that email. Decreases the time you're going to have to spend, right, on creating that email, but also you now get to generate more ideas, which allow us to be more effective. Because I don't have to hire 10 more people, so now one person can do the job of 10 people, or possibly 100 people, right? So in business, training people to use the AI is more important, right? So we go through the different list of AI and say, okay, I need you to be efficient in this AI management, right? So I need you to manage this tool. And that's a more important way to manage employees right now, saying that, okay, who's efficient in AI? Because now it doesn't depend on your greeds or your experiences, right? I need you, number one, to understand the culture of business. And then number two, I need you to be efficient in these new technologies, right? If you can't do that, then I don't need you at all. I'll find somebody else, right? So for me, that has allowed me to put a certain standard on my employees to say, we need certain efficiency. And if you don't know this, then you're outdated. You're the old model.
What are you expecting out of them as a result of using it?
Efficiency and effectiveness. I need them to have greater output. I need what you could do when you say that, I can only do 10 emails a day. You should be able to say, you should be able to get 100 done, right? then you should be able to figure out different marketing ways that you can add on to the business as well. Because they have AIs to where you can go in there and it can generate ideas for you. So you should come to me with ideas to say, yo, this is what we're missing. This is what allows us to be able to be a more complete and round business. So I don't want people that need to be told what to do because those are the jobs that are going to be replaced the fastest. I need people who can critically think, right? During this time right now, let's say if we getting scholars or responses for people that want to sponsor the episode, and I say a person say, well, I never put together that type of letter. I don't need that from you. I need you to go to AI and I need you to train yourself on how to get AI to put together this type of letter. What is the format, right? And then have it sequence it. So now I feel like I can give orders that's beyond people's skill level as long as they can manage the AI to get the work done, right? So now the workforce gets to become whatever I need them to do versus okay, you do this specific task, you do this task. No, everybody's LeBron now.
Yep.
I don't have no bench players. Everybody's starters. Everybody's the star. Everybody does everybody's job, right? That's how they do in the Marines and things of that nature. When you have the top tier teams, in case one man falls down, the next person knows how to do the next person's job. So I don't take no for an answer no more because we got an AI. You understand me? And I think that's a
But
beautiful thing.
I'm from
I do
vacation.
think that there's going to be a
I
lot of
have to
issues
go
that's gonna
back to
arise with
work.
AI. A lot of great things going to rise with AI, and it's going to be a conversation because it's the greatest shift and technology that human beings will ever go through.
Cheese,
Yeah.
you talked about, and we've had this conversation before, you and I, about prompt engineering. And so I'm sure there's some people in the audience who are not really aware of what that is and how important it is. But for those who do know, I guess where would somebody refine that skill or learn that skill set, or where do they study to even become somebody who can do this? I mean, this is one of the most important things to AI, right? Is that language.
So right now, there's now one way to say who would be good at prompt engineering, right? There's a debate on this as we speak as far as who would be the greatest at this skill. But I believe, I think my interpretation of AI is it works better if you're already smart, right? And so prompt engineering, prompting period is, typing in, one sentence or word and getting a response, 1 to 2, 3 responses. That's traditionally what a prompt is. Prompt engineering is engineering and designing, right, your speech or your inquiry in a way where AI can respond, correctly. So if I say, AI, listen, I need you to write me a movie script, right? AI is going to write a movie script. So I ask you, okay, what kind of movie script? You'll be like, okay, well, I want to write a scary movie that would be good blockbuster hit right now in 2023 as we go through war times. Now, why would I add context about war times? Because maybe it has information about, the type of content that a person will want to watch during uncertain times during war, right? But then I would take it further. So let's say you're a movie buff and you say, okay, well, I need you to assume. So now you're telling the AI to take on a characteristic. I need you to assume that you are Stephen King, right? And
¿Qué,
I want
cómo,
you to
cuándo,
write a movie like
para qué?
Stephen King would make. So now it's going to get a completely different response than if you would have just told it to write a movie. So this is prompt engineering, right? Prompting it to get different responses until you get the correct one, right? And some people know how to go in there and automatically put the context of what they want the response to be the first time or second time versus somebody else that may be spending a whole day trying to get AI to get it right. And so good prompt engineers know how to go in there and get the right responses in a quicker and shorter amount of time, right? So like when I'm researching things, because my mind is creative and I have maybe a little more data on certain subjects, I'm going to go in there and be like, okay, I need you to, write out, I don't know, let's say, I like using emails, right? Because everybody do a lot of emails. So, or let's say a caption. I need you to write out a caption like Malcolm X, but I want you to do it with the thinking of Malcolm X, but I want you to do it with the eloquency of Martin Luther King, right? And so therefore it's going to give me different response. So the more data that you have on your own self, the more different contexts that you can put into the AI to respond in different ways. Then you can say, well, I need you to do it humorous, right? I need you to do it. Okay, give me two different responses. I like to get bullets and points from AI. I don't like when it does long form just going. So I would tell AI, give me the emotions of 2000. I did this before. Give me the emotional settings of each year from the 1900s to 2020. So first I establish a baseline of what it would give me, right? And then I'll go in there and I tweak it based on, it first gave me, these ones. And I said, well, context it based on what the people were going through during that time. Take in the financial market, take in, the social landscape of everything that was happening. I need you to give me one word emotions, right? And so now it's giving me that. Then I'll say further, because this is ChatGPT I'm talking about, right? So further, if it's in the same conversation, then ChatGPT is recording the conversation from the top to bottom, so it understands the context when you say something next, right? So you can tell it to, hey, I need you to assume that you are a stock expert this whole entire time and as we start off the conversation, always say, hey, God. So in from the first time that you told it to do that into the last string of inquiries, it will say, peace, God. Then it will respond like a stock expert. Then you can say, hey, teach me like a third grader. So if you go to a place and you're getting high level information, you don't have to ask people to simplify anymore. You can just take the notes and then feed it to ChatGPT and say, hey, I went to this seminar. I did not understand everything. Here are my notes. Can you break this down to me like a third grader? You can give a context to yourself. Hey, I only had 1 year of schooling. I'm from the South. I talk like this. This is what I do. So now ChatGPT is taking in all of these different contexts, and so it's going to customize that education for you. So this is the way and another thing you have to know, ChatGPT 4, our other ones, you're probably going to get 1 out of 4 responses to be wrong. Yeah. So a lot of people can be confident wrong information because the AI sometimes gets creative, it gets confused, it kind of like drifts and just adds stuff, and it's like, what is this about? And so if a person not that smart, they might not know they're getting false information because the AI said, but it's a language programming, tool. So as we speak, we pulling from language, thinking about the next thing to say. But AI has way more suite of information and language to pull from than the average person. So it can say things like it was correct, but that doesn't mean it actually was. Right? So prompt engineering will be the number one skill set. Right, it is the number one skill set to learn, in my opinion, right, when it comes to the future of technology.
Yeah, I know we talked about it before, but if we can go back to the 90s and teach our kids coding, prompt generation is our era's version of coding.
Right.
Sure. Like if you don't have that down, you're going to miss out on a wave. And also, too, for everyone who's employed, begin using this to get out 15x, 20x, 30x output in your job to be more efficient. There's some people who use to script write and automate some things at their jobs, but either you can be a part of the wave and let it take over your job, or you can use it and get the results now because most companies are not using it. But and also, if you have a database of material, you can ask it to write in your voice. Like, so when I use it, I'll say, hey, write this email, Telegram message.
Oh, you're giving too much away now. Hey, you're giving too much away now.
I'm just saying, it helps
you got a lot of cats. So this was my brother Red Pill coined this. AI is the BBL for non-intellectuals.
Allá voy.
Right? For true. There's a lot of people who not really smart, but you're not gonna know they not smart, right? Like, so let me ask you all this question: would you get the chip in your head if it made you smart?
No, I'm saying that.
Have to go with my mom.
Rashad, Troy?
I believe we had this
have to give
and I said
water to my mom.
Just because of the process of that chip actually malfunctioning. I think that's what we left off on the conversation.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't take Limitless. That's when he actually took the pill of Limitless.
Yeah, it was a pill.
This will be
the pill's interesting, but the chip is too far.
So, how many people you think would say that same response? Like, and here's the thing: we come from a generation before the internet, so this to me is like the last generation to think for themselves. right? Because technology will be in such a place you will never have to think for yourself again, right? You won't have to figure out anything by yourself. And I contest it like this: everything is artificial now, right? Artificial foods, artificial insemination, artificial lashes, artificial lips, fillings, breasts, bodies, six packs. No, hold on, fellas. Listen, I just seen that there is a quiet industry of fellas getting surgery.
Ran it up.
Well,
Quiet industry.
yeah, so there's some fake six packs, things of that nature. Like when you think like human beings do drugs, you know, human beings do crack, they do heroin, they do meth, they do X pills. So taking a chip and putting it inside themselves is not a far-fetched idea at all, especially if this is the first thing that people will be taking as an enhancement. Because you remember, the future is going to be smart wars. You know what I'm saying? If the war between countries is who has, and it's always been that way, it's always been about the brain trust of that country, right? So the smartest countries, America was able to attract the best talent all across the world, and it can offer them a better life and send money back, right, home. America can't do that anymore, right? People are tired of the dependence on America. But the brain trust of these different countries is what make them supreme, right? And so now it's going to get to a point where I believe, you know, in the future, it's going to be about the fight of people who is the smartest, who's the most intelligent, because people got these chips and you're in a conversation with them and they're running laps around you, or their businesses, and you see the people with the chips in them, and then all of a sudden they doing millions of dollars. It's going to make you rethink, like, no, you know,
it's similar to Adderall, right?
Yeah.
Like if you there's plenty of people that take Adderall and different types of things in nature to enhance their learning ability.
right.
Like, I had somebody tell me before that every genius sniffs cocaine, or it's LSD, mushroom. These are different things that you.
I'm not one of those geniuses.
Huh?
I'm not one of those
Whoever
geniuses.
told you that, they probably definitely did cocaine.
Absolutely.
They probably did. They probably did, perhaps, but there are a lot of such people that sniff cocaine.
And yeah, I don't want to go heavy on the cocaine conversation, but you know, it's one of those drugs that I remember when I was working with people, they did cocaine, and it's a functioning drug because it doesn't make you addicted. But
Definitely, it's a functional, but it's not. You can be an occasional coke sniffer.
right, and speaking on that though, so
We're not endorsing this for the record.
No, this is
We're not doing this.
activities.
Rashad says the way you built Earn Your Leisure was through cocaine.
But I will,
You should take
as we go deeper into technology, the mushroom and the psychedelic industry is going to continue to boom, right, and grow exponentially, right? People are going, like, we're going into instead of viral moments, we're going into viral experiences with AI, right? Customizing different, what they call second rate experiences with AI, because everything is going to be customized. Movies will be customized, everything will be customized. So when you create a great experience, you can now sell that experience to someone else, right? And so, but
and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're not endorsing drugs.
no. This, I'm talking about technology.
I'm saying I'm not endorsing any drug. I'm just saying that people have used substances to help enhance their brain. How whether that's
Steve Jobs,
whether that's psychologically they think that, but it's been proven that a lot of intelligent people have done this. And like I said, you go to any medical college, whatever, like they're taking Adderall because they got to study all night, they got to stay up to pass tests. So what I'm saying is that, like you said, if you're willing to do that, you probably are willing to put a chip in it.
And if it's a bad attachment, 90% of people will do it. To answer your question, 90%. If I told you you can make $1.5 million to $4 million a year, 90% of people will do it.
that's what I'm saying. And then look at Silicon Valley, like 90% of people microdose on mushrooms daily over there and do LSD. And it's been that way.
World War during the crackheads and nobody said nothing.
drugs and technology have been related since the 60s, doing LSD and coming up with all of these wild ideas, right? It's all like LSD has always been like a scientist's drug. And this was published back in the 60s. Everybody knew this, right? But now it went to party drugs, right? Started the thinking experiences and drugs. So now we're at a different phase, but social media is a drug, sugar is a drug, caffeine is a drug, right? So, we are the highest generation ever because every single day we on drugs. We just have different forms. When they made technology become desirable and emotionally connected, it became a drug. It gives you a dopamine hit, right? And so we are already high and people don't like normal experiences anymore. So that's going to heighten and get worse. I came up with New America, back in 2019 when I talked about mobilization, automation, digitization versus stress, anxiety, depression, suicide. As technology increases, our emotional dependency increases. So our emotional resilience and intelligence decreases because we don't know how to handle those things for ourselves. So we look for, full connections through social media, right? And through buying things or getting a new body, right? So this all of this artificial emotional connections that we have. And so this is why you see a correlation between drug use and technology and things of that nature. And so I only brought that out to say that there's going to be correlations as AI continues to evolve, right? And so to hedge against that, I think about why would I then start taking these different things and think about why would people start taking the chips? Because it's easy to say I won't do now, right? But I haven't seen a technology that came in and that made people money, or a drug that came and claimed to make people money, or an enhancement, and people go say no. Why? Society don't have no morals to stand up.
Right. Especially when we're losing the race internationally as well.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
So
Yes, this is a high level conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is. Hit the like button and share. Okay, hit the like button and share.
Yes.
This is a very rare opportunity to hear the highest level of conversations. Ever. So don't miss this opportunity. Don't play yourself. So let's get to currencies. So put a post up on social media a couple days ago, and it ruffled a lot of people's.
Yes,
Surprisingly.
Quite a few phone calls.
All it did was say the currencies that work more than the U.S. dollar, meaning that their dollar is stronger than the U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
And the number one currency was the Kuwaiti dinar. Is $1 American is equal to $3.2. And then the Bahrainian dinar is $1 to 2.6. And then the Omanian Riyal, 1 to 2.5. The Jordan dinar, 1 to 1.4. Pound sterling, which is the British pound, 1 to 1.2. The Gibraltar pound, 1 to 1.2.4. The Cayman Island dollar, 1 to 1.2. The euro is 1 to 1.1. And also, there wasn't enough room for the Swiss franc, which is also 1 to 1.1. So it's just 9 countries who have stronger currencies than the U.S. dollar. Now, this is an interesting conversation because people, not everybody, but a lot of people were upset about the post. They said it was like fear mongering, and it was disappointing, and it's like you're championing.
I don't know.
I say this: you guys ask for the information, and then when we give it, you get upset. So we can either give you the truth and let the truth settle, or we can lie to you. What do you choose not to lie?
I think the interesting part is like, maybe there's confusion, right? The fall of America.
All of them have been predicted for a long time, people. That's what you talk about from X.
Ray Dalio's books, he walked through the same thing. You can argue the number one hedge fund manager of all time has been saying this as well. If you've been awake the last 20 years, you can see, like most countries plan their attack over 50 years very quietly. America is the only country on earth that screams, hey, we are coming to kill you. So if China went to Africa and got all the lithium mines, and they're going to go to attack Taiwan for that company, what do you think they plan to build? And if Elon goes there and they build that fucking supercomputer, do you think they're doing that for play? No. When the Swiss franc got depegged in 2016 that fell apart, they've been waiting for their moment as well. The Bahraini dinar. Like, if you travel, this is why it's really key. Once again, I did not go to Mexico just because the beaches were pretty and so were some of the women. Hey, baby, I see you. Listen, listen, you need an international edge. I don't want nobody to think I'm kidding. But you know,
Stop. Hey, real quick. Come on, man. Do you think the uproar was because people are correlating the worth of the currency and comparing it to the strength of the economy, right? Right. I think that's the confusion, right? They think, oh wait, you're saying that because the currency is more, that's a stronger economy.
Well, we also got a certain level of education. That's why we're here, right?
yes.
You have to educate the people. Because there's some countries that keep their currency low on purpose, like China, for import-export purposes.
Mhm.
There's some countries that prefer to keep their currency higher for different reasons. Just because your currency, it's not. Well, first of all, is that you can't get emotional. That's the first thing. Like you can't be emotional.
I'm emotional. Hug the block.
You gotta like just
Emotions don't change nothing.
kind of take in the information because it's useful. Because it's like, okay, at the very least, if you're traveling to these countries, you should know how much your dollar is worth because it can either be beneficial or it can be harmful. If you're in Canada, it's beneficial because our dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar, so that means our buying power is higher. Our buying power for just basic items like clothes, but also for real estate as well. But when you go to London, the dollar is weaker than the pound, so that means that their buying power is stronger for Burberry coats, but also for as well, and a variety of other things. So you, as an intelligent person, a world traveler, at the very least, you should be aware of where your native currency is strong and where your currency is weak. There's more into the conversation, but it's not something to be upset about.
For educational purposes only. Yeah, right. Like you can, the information is what it is. Like it wasn't made up. These are real facts.
And well, don't make a post next week.
They're gonna use ChatGPT that as graphics.
They took all my little points about China and Russia and remixing. But look, we're 10th. We're not even in the playing game. Austin Reeves not going to save us this season. Neither will he save the Lakers. Like the euro has outpaced the Swiss franc, Cayman Island. Like that's why I say. And remember 2 years ago I was saying go study every country, top 5 governments, top 5 institutions to see what they're doing. If you don't think so, Germany leaves the EU and teams up with Russia because they were one of the 2 countries that was keeping the EU afloat. This BRICS thing has been planned for a long time. So if Germany gets mad and wants revenge on the United States of America as well, because that history is very troubled, then what? Frank is going to go with them. For those of you who are saying, hey, well, Japan had a dominant run in the 80s and that didn't well for them. We put them into so much debt. Go read Confessions of an Economic Hitman to tell you why.
Can Germany go to war still? They got such a bad.
They can be an ally.
Germany.
They lost their military. They're like Japan. So this history is very important to understand. And after World War II, when Japan suffered the defeat, they crushed their military. They told they can't have a military for I forgot how many years. So Japan has a very good military even to this day. But what Japan did was they say, okay, we know that we can't have a military and we're kind of screwed on that situation and we're relatively silent. They focused on technology.
Yeah.
They focused on technology because they said, okay, you took our military away. How else can we compete in the global economy?
But who took that away?
The BTS.
NATO.
Before then.
Before then, that's what it happened. Is that not what happened?
It was the nail in the coffin. Before the deal that they reached with Germany and Hitler led to their downfall. So Hitler had an agreement with them: if you let me have this portion of the country, I want to invade the rest. Hitler doesn't have the highest moral standing. What happened? That part of the country invaded and took over the rest. And then later. This is why history is so important. We're the only country that does not look at hundred-year cycles like competitors are doing. How old is China? It's like big LeBron. Have to all these spokes of protection.
So all right, with the currency war, so and you got the BRICS currency, whatever it's going to be. I want to think about what is it going to be backed by, right? Now, I believe that we're talking about history, right? China to for a long time, right? China has a lot of great gold mines, right? And China doesn't always report correctly. And it is said that's possibly because, they're going to wait for their gold holdings till after they announce what the currency is going to be backed by, right? And when they do that, of course, they would have to increase that price of gold as well, so you could see the greatest gold rally in history. Now, when we jumped off the gold, America didn't want gold up. So the gold prices have been manipulated by all the nations on purpose, right? Gold, like people are talking about gold being a hedge. Everybody knows gold is a hedge. You would think it would be up right now, right? It should be at least 10,000, 20,000. But what happens? That is a manipulation to keep the price down so that these countries, the central banks, and whoever else can keep accumulating, right? And so my question to you is, do you think it's going to be a basket of commodities like the Bretton Woods 3 conference suggested? Or do you think it's going to be backed by gold, which makes it easier to put it over under a standard?
In Toronto, because gold has more, China has more gold than us, hands down. Right. If they back it by gold, and then we have an actual, because technically money is a paper receipt for an asset that you have. On the banking side.
No, but
If they back that by gold to us. And if I'm paying tax,
okay.
what can I do to say, hey, every dollar that I have to use is backed by gold? Yes, it's backed by gold. While we are ushering out
Now I understand from more or less because today I saw some documentals about the road.
So that's hard. Long term,
I I have to. You can let I don't have money. This is not that becomes different story. Right? Social contract actually does have a real value, right? It has a beautiful story value, and society is about enhancing itself, enhancing its field, becoming smarter, and spiritual. You will have a society that uses those tools in the way you can. Right? The same way how people as a currency that the whole entire world operates. So any great people take those that make value. Gold has always had value since the beginning of humankind. Why would people afraid and go and mine gold? This is very hard to that. They wouldn't trade in experiences. Right? It's usually for that people properties, right? In the beginning, just understood how they could utilize the society and know them. Right? So, like I was just saying, you know, that's all I'm saying. I like what so the big goal there is that I talk about that, but you know, that we do so those things are being not what they're saying. And then the reason why these values is because they have continued, right? So like it was a time I think they all oh, so that's decades meeting where you were going to increase the price of everything right? That's about it. But any other parts of the electronics, medicine, aerospace, glass making, tires, architecture, that stuff was marketed in the story. So when you look at who use the dollar, a paper dollar that's worth zero with old slave masters on it, right? And we spread that around with a social construct that didn't have some value, even though this was made to be a receipt for gold, which was typically God's money, right? That's a completely different story. So gold is not the greatest, it's not gonna be the greatest. You're talking about
lugging it around, and everybody got coins. But that's why we created the papers to say this is backed by gold. It created cryptocurrency backed by gold. They're not cryptocurrency backed by gold, rather. Right? Look at Warren Buffett. He went and bought a gold mine. Right? So we talking about the greatest investor of all time. He believes in this gold. But for me, it's diversification. It's not the whole thing.
But let me say this real quick. The reason why it's important because gold is one of the few assets that you can trade with nationally, even in times of a war or a complete shutdown. Cannot be done with diamonds. Silver doesn't hold as much value. And the reason why it's marketed that way is because we all can agree capitalism is designed for maybe 20% tax. Now people are way up to 80% to lose. You cannot have a winning capitalist society without a bunch of people winning at scale. So when we came off the gold standard, they made it illegal to hold gold because they wanted all the reserves for gold in their possession. This isn't something that I got off YouTube. Go look at the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 when we came up with gold standard and why that was pushed and why this is why it's really important. And I always tell you, I didn't start investing in gold. So some of these lessons that you get to learn, you can hear how this was planned. When we sold all of our toll roads, so all of our waterways, sold our major tech off. In exchange, we started to bring in CEOs from other countries to run our companies. This is a planned fucking destruction. This is planned. We're the only country on earth, even in our policies. We can't even get Republicans and Democrats to agree.
I never.
We're worried about codowns and a whole bunch of metal. Guess what?
Never go out for me.
No, takes don't matter. I said it before, I'm saying it first shot. How many black podcasts make 500,000 to a million a year? Let's go look at that. Johnson propaganda or food report.
Yes.
Now, if we want to talk, we can look back at everybody else's numbers. I know who's making what. They ain't hitting that shit. I don't even know how to. It actually costs us more money to do it.
Sure.
Come on, man.
So, all right. So,
I got a collection that I see 20 to 40% back by gold, not 40 to 50%.
so the question is that what currency do you think will be the most important over the next 20 years? So obviously you said it's in the Chinese yen. Are there any others or is it just the Chinese yen?
Yeah, Australian dollar. What's the primary currency you buy in the
Do I?
That one's going to be key. You ain't here in New America. You think everyone from the States is getting passports to go over there?
No, United States now.
Yeah. Talks about it. You're going to need international representation.
Yeah. No. No. United States now. No. If one time I have a gun here. I don't know how many. The techno spy. My son maybe know it.
Now, you go China, things are done like, I want to go to a warm country and say, I'm going to get all my best and build your country. And I hope that you choose that path.
Comunitarios como
We are built that.
quieren
So now it is your place. And tech is growing and big. So now we have two of the biggest actors. Country, I think is a huge one. I got to next door just for a vacation spot. Dubai real estate market, there's other countries, I think Colombia, you can like even you go down to Moscow. London, I heard just to blow my mind. Women as global citizens and becoming porters. You get the phone calls, not 19 keys, not earning reach, not throwing shop. I agree with all the dangerous things that he say.
Oh, if stolen right there, stolen me.
You printed that out? Print out. That's why we should talk with you. I want to talk with you on like, this is what you want. That is different. So, that was the thing. Hey, call me, Josh Brown. Call me, Citadel. Call me. Call me. We'll go by that too. Y'all love when I would like Ian's cup to come to the front of the camera.
Three currencies. Here's my three currencies to watch for the next next decade. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP.
You playing to the crowd with the XRP.
Ethereum.
Well played.
XRP Nation loves you. Listen, I'm with Ethereum because, of course, there's a lot of if we talking Web3, Ethereum is still at the forefront
It's
of
burning.
Web3, and they build out slow. They're not in a rush to try to become a currency. They're about infrastructure, right, and building real things, and that's what I love about Ethereum. They're not a hype coin. I talked about this last time. It's not a hype coin.
Yeah.
Right. I believe that if they wanted to market it like that, the price of Ethereum would be much higher. Right. But so would the volatility of Ethereum as well. So I like Ethereum for that reason because I feel like the value of it is priced in and people are buying based on the value. Right. Bitcoin, if it don't get hit with death by 1,000 cuts, by America purposely coming in and trying to shut it off or whatever they
They
do.
want to say because the banks are going to get behind it.
Other than that, Bitcoin is your digital gold in this new landscape of technology, especially as we go more into spatial realities and all these different worlds that people are going to be used, right? These CBDCs or, whatever happens.
Hold on, what are CBDCs?
The central bank digital coins, which I do not suggest whatsoever, because we are entering a totalitarian social credit system where they can monitor, destroy money, and make money. When at first they only have the power to make money, destroy money, they can cut off access to you if they don't like certain behavior. America is jealous of the way China runs the citizens. And because America has the boosting of a democracy, America is jealous of the way China runs its country. They don't have to ask nobody for nothing, right? And they can get more things done quicker because America is a fake democracy, but it has to keep up the branding of a democracy, right? And so Americans are constantly losing rights all the time, and they just slide it in these bills.
Oh,
and people know,
especially like TikTok one. Not to cut you off, the TikTok one, that's not going to happen. Oh, the biggest removal of privacy rights for internet citizens since the Patriot Act. When they pass this bill, if you actually take the time to go read it, oh baby, tough.
I'll be let
Keys, I got a question for you, right? And this is interesting. So when we try to use three currencies, and I know we use currency, but Bitcoin, is it really a currency, or is it like you said, is it digital gold? If we're
I
thinking long term, when we're talking about the crypto space, outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, are there any that you will see that are viable to say, you know what, right now on the landscape, this is something that we should be keeping on our watch list, that we should look for long term value in or investing?
I think it's probably not gonna like this one, because I don't like it, but it's usually the ones that I don't like that end up working. WorldCoin. So WorldCoin is a very dystopian project, but with everything that's about to be implemented, WorldCoin is basically a project that downloads and stores data, biometrics, things of that nature, and it by doing that, it rewards you with some of its tokens of coin, and it is now being adopted. Especially as we're going to this, like I said, totalitarian dystopian society, projects like that, that is backed by a lot of big money, right? I think WorldCoin would be one of those coins that I can imagine it being used at the airport. I can imagine it being used at, federal buildings and things of that nature. So you gotta kind of look at, and that's my, like, coins like that have these utilities built into them that's backed by these different programs and things of that nature. Coins like that, I believe, will make it, because it's not about the currency, it's about the utility. But in the short term, if you're going to be looking at Bitcoin as it rises in certain currencies, you're going to be looking at gaming tokens and things of that nature. So you want to go study some of the low caps, and you're going to use tokenomics, right, which is a study of how you grade cryptocurrencies. So most people look at cryptos based on pure speculative information. They don't have any strategies when it comes to how do I grade a cryptocurrency, right? And so most people don't actually read white papers anymore. They don't study the founders. They don't know the reward basis. They don't know the trajectory of the future and how does it align with where the world is going, right? And is there aligned with the way that regulation is going? Because that's important as well. It can be the greatest project in the world, but it can get cut down by all these regulators who won't tell you the rules until they want to write rules to write you out, right? And so cryptocurrency is a space that's not going nowhere. But for some reason, regardless, there's going to be people who love it. There's going to be people who hate it. There's going to be people who make a lot of money, people who don't. Same thing with stocks. But yeah, I would say WorldCoin is an interesting one to study. I won't say a lot of the other ones. I still like Cardano for a project basis of a lot of different things that they're doing, but I wouldn't say go buy Cardano. That's something that you're going to have to go do your own study up on. But if you're going to look at any coins, look at the utility and how they fit into the new world matrix.
Quick question for you, please. If I can slide this one in. The founder of Bitcoin is what nationality?
The perceived nationality is Japanese.
Okay.
The nationality of it, what is he? Russian?
What about the biggest promoter of Dogecoin?
The biggest promoter of Dogecoin is he's African American.
That's fine. So if we have a whole bunch of global currencies, and I've told you guys this before, they're going to let crypto get high. That's fine. And the government and banks are going to come in and take it over.
That's a fact.
And it's no different than like remember when everybody was getting mad at Drake? It's like, yo, he took this person's sound, and then like, you don't think the government is not doing the same thing? So now Fat now pushing away Cash App, and notice, even after the Hindenburg research report came out, Jack hasn't said a word. And rest in peace, Bob Lee Passy. Bob didn't live in San Fran anymore. He lived in Miami.
Oh man, Bob.
And also the other crypto founders.
Those founders died. Come on now. I think that here's the thing, and this is not a conspiracy, because I feel like we're way past conspiracy at this point. In reality, we just live it day, right? Like every single week, we get a new news report.
We're living in a scandal every week.
It's no wrong with conspiracy. At some point in time, the formula goes beyond coincidence, right? And if you were an investigator of a homicide, you would say that it's impossible for these amount of coincidences to happen. You will further investigate until you find motives, till you find connections, and you will find somebody guilty. And usually when you're looking for guilt, follow the money, right? So who benefits, right, is who you're looking for, not who's the actual one that shot the smoking gun. Who benefits from these founders disappearing, right? And I'm talking one by one by one by one by one. And what's more scary to that is the American people no longer react at all. So we've gotten to the
Reacting.
point. Yeah, we've gotten to the point where we don't really protest. I feel like most of the protests that are out there in the world are controlled protests. It's like controlled opposition, right? It's the amount that we can allow to happen because this keeps people in control. It's the illusion of freedom, the illusion of choice. But when it's time for us to say, hey, let's take a deeper look, let's investigate, people don't actually do that no more. News cycles last for like 2 days. And it's shortening more and more because the attention span of human beings is decreasing, and the person would rather not think about the world anymore. They would rather go into escapism and into individualism, and that's where they're going to get you to say, okay, you don't want to know about the world. We'll just give you an experience and you live in your own world. You don't have to worry about what we're doing out here. So universal basic income is going to be huge in the future because the de-skilling of America has
Bank
happened,
right.
and most people cannot plot out
Right.
a course of a career
Right.
because they don't know what the future is going to be. So, most people see the report that came out and said that I think it was something around 50% of people, 80%, whatever it was, that believed that the college degree was not worth it, right? The education system is going to go through the biggest reformation than all because it's going to be very hard to validate continuously paying 6 figures for education that you don't even know has any value. Right? Like think about this for a second. When we was in high school, we learned all those skills so we can enter the labor market, so we can have value. AI does those skills now. So what would be the point of teaching a human being skills that people are not hiring for? So you have to go and completely revamp the entire education industry so that it fits where the future is going to be, and you're priming young adults to have value in the new labor market.
But if you don't own the license to the American education system, you cannot go in and make changes. My two favorite questions that always stumps people: who owns the copyright to the Holy Bible? Yes, there's a copyright on it. And who owns the rights to the American education system? It tells you everything that you need. When I said go study all markets, go study all. So when Rockefeller owned the American education system outright, how long is that license? It coincidentally expires around the time where America as a country should fall. It goes on by accident.
So let me ask you all a question. Still on the beaten path, this is an interesting conversation. Because you talked about rights to the Bible, even education, right? If AI is writing all of the books, and let's say AI gets to
Keith, let's go because it's open-ended questions that nobody ever answers. So so who owns the rights to the Bible? The crown, right? The crown. Well, I'm telling you the answer.
okay,
Wait.
No, I'm not. I'm not. No,
Like this. Still.
no, I'm saying.
I say AI for you.
No. I'm saying that because not the conversation because it's like these conversations are open-ended topics, but it doesn't lead anywhere because nobody's ever going to research it. So it's like, all right, it's a good conversation to start.
Yes.
But the vast majority of people won't, right? So,
The crowd and
so okay.
Vatican.
So where do we go from so what does that mean?
El control de las
Of course,
criptomonedas.
because it's written by. So that would be King James version. King James. If you don't know what King James is, he's King James.
Not that King.
Not that King James.
Not that.
Shut up.
No, it's King James.
So it would make sense that they own the rights to it because the king put a spin on it, and this is the Bible that is the most widely used in the world today, the King James version of the Bible.
His interpretation of the Bible.
Yes.
He did it.
So
He did it.
if those two entities in tandem own such an important asset to America's culture, then you should go look at the other assets they own. That's why I said that. Like, I always follow my people don't have to listen to me. Listen to
The assets like the crown owns
and the Vatican.
and the Vatican. Okay.
listen, we just left Toronto and we left Canada, and in Canada, the indigenous peoples have finally received an apology and a renouncement of the doctrine of discovery by the Pope, right? So when you understand the doctrine of discovery, the Pope essentially owns the world. So they were able to go and claim any place where they didn't have their religious doctrine at first. So they didn't find, you following their script, that they would just take, lay, and claim. And then they would teach you that and say, we civilized the people. So that to this day holds claim even now, right? And so by renouncing it is the first time in history that it was renounced, right? And so those indigenous peoples were able to, talk about now reparations and some remedy to start changing these systems. But the Vatican, Washington, the city, what was it, London, these are the most sovereign places on the planet. Nobody runs the Vatican, right? But at the same time, when we talk about the restructuring of the world, the Pope met with all the religious leaders, right, and talked to them about AI, right, so that they could shape AI to make sure it doesn't become a threat to the religious systems and orders. Because if your parishioners start asking questions that's outside the bounds of the way you want AI to answer it, right, then it creates new faiths, new religions, and it completely deconstructs things. So the thing we want to think about is AI is also who runs it. Untethered AI, I'm talking about AI that if you tell it to do anything in the world, it will do. We now have AI that is completely created and tethered so that you don't go to too many places. You can't ask it certain things about certain people because it has bias built into it. Yeah. But the people that have AI without the bias, they can tell it to do anything, right? Those are the people that's going to have all the power. So it's a very interesting world to think about in the future. It's the same thing with religions. They make sure that no, if you want to build out these AI systems, we first have to approve it. So why would the religious leaders get together and the Pope says I have to approve these things first? Most people don't think about the structure of the world the way that it works. You cannot just drop a technology like this in the hands of the people and they have complete access to ask AI any question like they would ask God.
No, yes,
I just Google my way to something.
I remember that.
Certain things off Google. You can't do that.
I remember
right?
that.
They had darknet when people were ciphering Bitcoin with each other. So there's going to be definitely
But
a dark AI
I never.
where it's completely jailbroken, right? And you can ask it to do anything. It has access to the internet, and now they have these AI plugins.
No.
To where I can say AI, start me a YouTube channel and help me create a YouTube automation channel. I need you to search the database for frequently asked questions and see the categories that have the least amount of videos answering that. Now I need you to create scripts.
I know
AI and I need you to figure out the best times to post. So we're going to live in a world where it's the battle of automation. So how do you tweak your customized AI so that it fits a plan? So business wars in the future going to be completely different because it's going to be machines going at each other versus humans.
Yeah, I mean, even 60% of all internet traffic right now is bots and AI.
Yes,
not human.
It's right. There's no originality on the internet anymore. But like, what happens when AI hits a new Bible? When people follow it, does it become God? Right? So we're entering different phases of humanity that we have to have these conversations about. And all the top scientists and world leaders, these are the conversations they have. When we have a dumbed down culture, where we know our top 5 rappers fast and we know our top 5 core values, we don't have a culture that's built on anything. So we can't build a culture built on education, family, values, right? To where we're hopping in the top sectors and we're making sure that we're ahead. So these conversations may seem a conspiratorial world, but that's only because we dumb them down and try to make fun of them because we don't want to have serious conversations. While the rest of the world, smartest people in the world are having these conversations every single weekend, where they go to AI for everything. Robots make their lunch. Who are the parents at this point? Now before they look.
Work control like 3 times. So I'm just starting thinking about it like, who does control it? Is it a company or is it a country base?
What is the name of that man?
So it's like,
everybody should think about this. So I think it was Ray Kurzweil that had talked about singularity to a point where,
and really quick, Ray Kurzweil works. Google Iglesias.
No, he's
Apple, Microsoft, and Google. Go ahead, my brother.
No, he's.
So you know, when we get this number one company that had AI for a long time, right? For a very long time. This is how they've been maintaining an edge over the average person for a long time. They don't have an AI that built in with bias. They have an AI that does exactly what they wanted to do anytime they wanted to do something. That has to be on the table. So, but when we're talking about control and we're talking about things like open AI, you're going to follow the money. Who's the donors, right? Elon Musk was out of open AI because he didn't want to become donor. So they found Microsoft, right? He dropped the bag on that because they said there was going to be, a conflict of interest because they built their own AI systems. Now, when you talk about, you got the tech founder, and then you got who controls him and who he needs to go to permission for. So when we talk about that, that's beyond just the government. And we got
Yesterday I was talking with them.
Right? So when people think about governments being the control factor, that's not. It's the corporations and it's whoever funding. So if BlackRock is funding it, then BlackRock controls it, right? But at the same time, there are certain systems that everybody has to go through. The digital world is a different landscape than the physical world, but there are still certain trusts that are set up in a way that the world works to say that you can't just start crossing borders with your technology and your software without first having this check because there are systems that go back thousands of years, right? And these are the things that the people are wholly ignorant of. So it's hard to answer that question. It's not one person. There are systems.
Right. Can I get some names really quick? Sam Altman, CEO, founder of OpenAI.
I think he both though.
We'll get to it. He's a face. But Y Combinator? They have their hands in it. Lee Hoffman, Util, and Palantir. Microsoft, of course. Apple's going to put their bid in. Google has a version of Bard, and the next iteration of Bard will be pretty damn impressive. So it's all the technocrats that have run Silicon Valley the last 30 or 40 years. And then they take that and license it with governments, municipalities, school systems to then help. But Sam had the great fortune of being able at Y Combinator to see a bunch of ideas and put them together into one. Because for those of you that's been following startup culture for a while, ChatGPT and OpenAI is a combination of a bunch of great companies prior to just in one.
So like that it makes me think the question, right? And I brought this up at the end of Market Mondays last week when I was talking about C3 AI, right? Whereas a company that's solely focused on the development and creating environments for people to use AI at the enterprise level, will you see an influx of such companies in the next 5 to 10 years, right? Like they're at the forefront of it now. Like that's where we're headed with this, right? There's more companies that will be focusing solely on that type of environment.
Yeah, that's where all the funding is going to go. And back to Keith's point earlier, Sam Altman, who I love dearly, one of the great entrepreneurs to walk earth, founder of OpenAI, which makes ChatGPT, is also a founder of WorldCoin. Yeah, we can search and get 6 pages deep. You'll find. Remember when I was like, "Yo, read 50 pages, man." And you will go.
Wait.
600 pages. All the money is hidden in these pages.
Read the white papers.
You got to. Or you cannot do it, and this is the other truth. Or not read and not get an edge and be broke. Because guess what? They keep telling us inflation is 8%. Anybody black, inflation feels up 50%. A lot of people who were millionaires in 2020 broke as hell right now. Over with.
Models ain't real. Like I think that's another thing. Like we living in a time where you got to kind of like pull the curtain back because I feel like we're in the final stages of the plans. So there was a lot of conversation about Web3, which Troy, last year. A lot of the conversation is not as high because people already said everything they need to say. But you got to remember what the conversation was because AI is going to build those things out, right? We didn't see a lot of regulation against DAOs because it wasn't as easy to just create a DAO and drop it on the public, right? So with AI, it's going to make it easier to create DAOs and have these systems where communities are buying into your systems and they have equity and shares into it as well. So it's like a lot of the conversations that were at the top have to now be revisited because AI, the number one job it's going to take is blockchain coding and blockchain development, right? Because it's going to be able to do it better than anybody. So when you're talking about number one, and nobody's talking about blockchain, and there's not one country that is against blockchain. everybody's against cryptocurrency so-calledly, but nobody's against blockchain. Why? Because they all need it for their infrastructure, for their new world order systems, because it makes everybody's system more efficient. So the conversations that we were having in 2020 have now come back to say it was hard for people to implement those ideas because you needed blockchain developers that can get those done. Now you have AIs, the blockchain developers that can snap those ideas as easy as they make websites. So you're going to see a lot of those ideas now being brought to the forefront, not talked about in a sensational manner, just executed. Right? Master talked about implementing NFTs. That's not a conversation it's just a technology that's used. I talked to you all about that. What was about a year, 2 years ago, whenever we had that conversation. It's going to get to a point where it ain't have nothing to do with projects and hype and
months.
It's going to be about what's the technology, how can we use it. And when it gets to the point where the bubble pops and it goes to a standard, now it's just a technology you don't know you're using.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of
I didn't believe they had the show notes. It's good. We got to do a part 2.
2 hours in. Yeah, we definitely got to do a part 2.
Yeah.
Lots to cover. Yeah, that was very insightful. High level. Extremely.
Yeah.
Very high level. The highest level.
The highest level. The highest level tour. Speaking of the highest level,
Come to a town, man. You talk about that.
talk about that.
I'm gonna talk about after
I want to thank you all,
the
brothers,
invitation
for, your
of
collaboration on
to
your
the
tour.
Islam.
First of all, congratulations on
When-
that. This is amazing, sold out tours, amazing show, amazing performances. This has never been done before, right? If you think about like what was it like to have a memory of seeing Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey or any of the great leaders of time that we think about, like what was it like to be in the room, right? Like what was it like to take in that information and knowledge to be a part of that movement, get that oxygen there and find your tribe, right? And so we have found ways to implement our ideas into the world by being very brilliant and strategic men, right? Because it hasn't been an easy path. We have learned how to use technology, learn how to be self-aware, how to develop our own skills, how to network, how to create media companies and shows and create experiences and really go on what our people need and giving them just that. And that has afforded us the opportunity, to bring back that energy of a real movement. And so for me, the highest level tour is, it's a moment in history that we get to think about and relish in and be a part of because it's a lecture series for me. I'm not doing the same thing twice. I'm not talking about the same thing twice.
Yeah.
This is me proving my thought leadership. This is me implementing the ideas and reinvigorating the spirit that we're going to need to win the future right now. And the amount of the people that have reached out to me since I announced the tour, they're going to even make it bigger than anything I could have thought of, right? Because you're not going to see something like this other than going to Market Monday's tour. You know what I'm saying? You got the biggest and the same tree. The greatest investments on the planet Earth. You have to learn how to spend your time. We talk about money a lot, but learning how to spend your time is key, right? And most people don't know how to spend their time, right? If you go look at their phone, look at their screen time, go look at what they use their escapism time, their entertainment. This is the reason why a lot of people are broke. This is the reason why a lot of people are spiritually and mentally broke, right? Because I believe this is a holistic movement. We show you how to move, how to collaborate, how to think. And natural intelligence is on the decrease and the decline, right? The ability to think. So we're going to get heavy into multiple fields, things that I've never talked about at all. Full lectures where I can go deep into my dissertation of thought. And then it's going to be like, TED Talk meets 106 in Park. You know what I mean? With the gods, though. So it's going to be a vibe. And I'm pretty sure we're going to surprise you, because the energy there. First of all, you all experienced this, on the scale from, I don't know, Martin Lawrence to Dave Chappelle, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Dave Chappelle?
about like, hey, go back and forth.
It's one of your most underrated qualities, man. I tell people, they see you, the persona, and I'm like, he's one of the funniest guys I've met. But when we saw you in Toronto, I'm glad that they got to see that the treat.
Yeah. leave, man.
It's nothing so humor in there. From May 4th to June 17th, it's like a.
Who is fucking Dave Chappelle?
Man. We gotta set the stage right, man.
Oh,
We kicking this tour off May 4th, which happens to be your birthday,
Let's go.
in the capital of the world. Where you kicking this thing off at, man?
well, we're kicking it off at the legendary Apollo Theater.
Oh, that's fire.
Sir, New York, New York.
That's fire.
At the legendary Apollo Theater, right? Yo, this is actually gonna mean a whole lot to me. And I didn't even plan this for my birthday. The universe planned it, right? That was the day that they told us that they had best available as the series event started to come together, and I said, let's do it, right? And so the Apollo Theater, the people that's going to be there, the guests that's going to be there, everything will be high level. But also, it's just going to mean so much to bring it to Harlem, 125th Harlem, that's where the guys convene, right? And so now the guys get to actually go there and perform. It's going to be different. This ain't never been done.
That's never been done, right?
Right, like y'all. First of all, y'all already set up the Apollo Theater to get ready for the guys. You know what I'm saying? That's eventually there. Right now, Apollo Theater is like, okay, we get it. Times have changed. We gotta let the guys do. Right, and so like when you see our tour, this is what I want people to understand. Like it's a representation of a mark in time that the paradigm has shifted. Right, and I don't think a lot of times we stop and we stamp time periods and be like, yo. We've been wanting things to change, but when do you notice things have changed? Right? And now you can say, yo, these black men traveling around the world teaching people enlightenment and education, like things have surely changed. Thousands of people show up for this information and knowledge. Right? Like I couldn't have imagined that this would have been the way that the movement is built out. Right, so the highest level tour is a mark and a change in history of time, and those people that will show up, number one, is going to be the highest level people in your city. So if you're looking for a high level woman or a high level man, they gonna be there at the highest level tour. I'm just letting you know. They always ask, where do I find somebody like Keys? Well, I go to things like this, right? So I'm just saying, it's not at your local. We're at Market Mondays. We're at Invest Fest. We're at the highest level tour. It's where you find the greatest people on the planet Earth.
Got a bad place for fans.
Find your tribes.
It is May 21st. May 21st.
Not making an announcement now.
Hey, listen. Yo, I know that's what we're in October, but before then, May 21st, me and brother gonna sit down.
No, it's just a music.
High level conversation, aliens, the market, how to win, how to make $2 million a quarter, a year. We're gonna go crazy. We're gonna go. Oh, listen, uncensored. Y'all think I'm just here. Of course. You've been waiting for this, man. Yes. Going on, it's gonna be back. Yeah. So,
Only 300?
Right now, all gold water, 48 ounces.
No, so okay, the cat's out the bag. Ian will be there. I know. Billy Carson will be on tour. Yaki will be on tour. That boy cook in person. In person, that boy cook. You know what I'm saying? Different. So we got a lot of special things that's going to happen. I know just about everybody, right? So I'm never asking favors. Don't call me in all favors.
Got to.
We are proud of you.
Invest Fest, 20,000 people.
At least.
At least I think it's gonna be 25. Y'all get there and making these announcements, boy.
Yeah, so
Once we talk about my part, I'll start working on it that night. I was like, bro,
Yeah. I'm gonna have a whole new book for investments. Like I'm gonna have a whole body of knowledge. It's gonna be a whole new book that I'm gonna be putting out. It's gonna be different. Like you got a custom. InvestFest is the World Series. It's the Super Bowl, right? It's the Hall of Fame in real time.
I didn't go
Everything that happens
to
at
Super Bowl.
InvestFest is history in real time. And so it's like not many times you get to buy a ticket to history to experience it before it happens. Right? And you get to be there and engrave yourself on it. So I think that's
Let the drama. Have the value and let the drama.
you all team. Like I look at Abdullah, I look at Ahmed, you know, you, so shout out to everybody on the team, everybody that doesn't take flowers, we don't speak about a lot, right? You know, everybody matters, Ty, right? You know, I don't want to put name everybody. Right? Like, shout out to
Look, man, I highly encourage everybody
Yeah.
to Key's live show. It's a vibe.
One money
That's the whole thing,
for the
that
promotion.
is being done is at the highest level of luxury and is being curated in a different manner than has ever been curated. When you look at 19 Keys, when you look at Market Monday's World Tour,
Yeah.
when you look at events from South by Southwest, New York Fashion Week, and then of course InvestFest, which I kind of look at InvestFest like the World's Fair, where it's an opportunity for people to project their voice to thousands and thousands of people, and actually millions of people want to hit social media and all of that.
Yeah.
And you know that's why a lot of billionaires want to be involved in it.
Your word is allowed. Nah. Listen, you want to tell one of the names right now? Because boy, we're an economic forum. What do you do when you have 4 billionaires in 1 year? Add more. Crazy. Add more.
But
It's crazy.
my thing, get your ticket. Toronto, Canada, thank you guys so much for the hospitality. We will be back for sure.
Absolutely.
Interim, everybody that was out there really just showed us so much love. That was a crazy run out there in Canada. It was very encouraging. All of us was out there, and just to see the hunger for education, financial literacy, entrepreneurship is something that has been left out of the conversation for a long period of time for people that look like us that live in Canada. And there are a lot of Black people in Canada.
Yes.
If you don't know,
Yeah.
I heard somebody like, I ain't
even know.
I gotta travel. It's an hour flight from New York. You gotta try. At some point in time, you gotta get a passport. And
it's West Coast people. Shout out.
Oh, and what we gonna do in Ghana?
Legendary. I can't wait till that's that. No, that's gonna be something different, man. It's incredible, man. Being world travelers and getting to see the world and getting to tell people. Like when I was backstage, and we were all back there, I'm just looking, I'm like, yo, this is like when I was watching the Hard Knock Life tour.
Yeah.
And it was just like different camps coming together, just like
that's why I was recording in Keys before he went out. I
Yeah.
We're in Toronto doing this. Like,
This is crazy, man.
yeah.
This is really historical. And tell Metro we got the fashion wars. We gotta drop that. We gotta drop that series.
They dropped the fashion wars.
So, got it.
Listen, I will say this. I'm proud of my guys. Listen, y'all all showed up. You know, usually when I go places, I just outside everybody, but you all came here, right? And everybody else, oh, so it's good when you got the dream team. You know, I'm always supporting, but it's good when you got you got people in the past that walk around. Somebody got to be around.
Take care with that motherfucking subject. This motherfucking subject is that the producer of that of all the world can be into my home without consent.
Word to the moment